back to Los Santos. Sorry for delay. I'm Skull. During our last episode, we discussed street gangs such as the Vargos, the Ballers, and the Families. During this episode, we'll teach you everything you need to know about the biker organizations of San Andreas. What makes bikers bikers as we know them? Sex, drugs, alcohol, and the open road. Unlike the gangs we previously covered, biker crews are more mobile and they cover much larger areas of operation. During this episode, we'll be uncovering what is an MC, the different types of motorcycle clubs, how to start your own MC, MC protocols, MC ranks, the biker community, and much, much more. So strap in, this is going to be a good one. Whether you're a club member, somebody wanting to start their own club, or a seasoned vet, we think everybody can learn something here. So while we're doing this, many more people have been interested in biker clubs all across San Andreas. We've hooked up with different motorcycle clubs across San Andreas, Liberty City, and across the United States. So first, many thanks to the Lost, the Saints, the Sons, motorcycle clubs for their assistance and information. There's no way this episode would be possible without these clubs. Patches, logos, emblems, and colors. First thing you notice about these clubs is their logos or emblems. In the biker world, these are known as patches or colors. At first glance in game, you might not notice the difference between these emblems. They are at the heart of most clubs, and clubs take the most pride in these emblems. Getting them confused could cause some very serious offense. That's another thing too. Every club has totally different emblems. Just take a look at the emblems shown above. All of them are different, right? Why does two of them look similar? Well, we asked about that. What we found is that specific clubs split into multiple smaller sections of the club. These sections are known as chapters or charters. Each of these chapters is free to operate on their own, but they still have general rules that they have to conform to, or bylaws of the entire organization. Yeah, biker clubs have rules, and a lot of them, but we'll get to that much later. Anyway, biker clubs wear something known as a three-piece back patch. This means that their emblems split up into three main sections: the upper arc or the top rocker, the center logo or the centerpiece, and the lower arc or the bottom rocker. Why is this important? Well, because each of those three parts have specific meanings. If you take a look at these, they both say Sons of Anarchy at the top. Actually, they have different texts inside of the bottom rockers. This is because clubs that wear a three-piece, the top rocker states the name of the organization, in this case Sons of Anarchy. The centerpiece contains the actual logo of the club. The logo is different from any other club. It's very rarely you'll see a club with two logos that's like the same. The bottom rocker is different in this case because it states the territory the club operates within or is located. Then why do two of them both say San Andreas? Surely they both can't claim the entire state as their territory. We asked about this, and things got extremely complicated. According to these clubs, only extremely influential clubs can do this. By doing this, you're essentially saying that the entire state is yours, and everything goes through you. The only club that are allowed to do this are called dominant clubs. Dominants are clubs that completely control a part of the map. Any other club that wishes to start up in their area must first gain permission, or risk of causing a lot of trouble between the two clubs. If a club lets them become a motorcycle club and approve everything, this club has been sanctioned or blessed. This process has been known as sanctioning, and it's something that goes on in real reputable biker clubs. In this specific case, various clubs that claim to be dominant are in San Andreas. Now, that makes sense. What about clubs like the Lost MC? They don't have a bottom rocker. What does that mean? In Grand Theft Auto, that generally means that the club is classified as an MC and it allows them to follow MC protocols. They does everything the same. There are alternative reasons why to wear a two-piece back patch, and that's because a lot of clubs haven't earned the right to wear the three-piece back patch. So, what do you mean you aren't allowed to wear a three-piece back patch, right? So according to these clubs, only dominants should wear a three-piece back patch. However, many clubs who aren't dominant clubs, they wear them too. And this apparently is a good way for MCs to determine whether or not a club is going through the right process to wear them, or if they're taking shortcuts to get to where they want to be. A lot of dominant clubs, they look at these smaller clubs who just do or make their own rules as fake clubs or wannabe clubs. They don't regard them as real MCs. Real clubs who aren't dominant clubs, they can wear three-piece back patches as long as they've gotten permission from the dominants and they've been sanctioned to do so. These dominants will only sanction it if they've really proven they deserve the three-piece though. They need to have a lot of influence to be sanctioned. What about the Mayans? What does it mean to be a nomad? That's a really good question. A nomad is someone who is a member of the club but doesn't belong to any specific chapter. People usually only become nomads, or this process is known as going nomad, because of a chapter dispute or because of lack of time to be in a chapter, though they still want to be members of the club. This is prominent if you were to see guys from different countries in the same club, but like their times don't align up together, or times that are like different time zones. They want to be a part of the same organization, but they really can't conform to what everybody else does, so they may go nomad. Now, there are some charters that have like nomad crews. That's a bit odd, I think, because that defeats the purpose, but that some of those do exist. So when it comes to colors, there's actually a hierarchy. We have our single patches. Our single patches are clubs that signifies that they're a biker club, but they're typically the lowest rank of the motorcycle community. This type of patch is only worn by some MCCs, and they wear it usually in the front, maybe like on a shirt or maybe like on the front of their vest. There are some cases where they may have it on their back, but they try to avoid the politics that come with wearing a back patch. The next tier would be two pieces. A two-piece is worn on the back of MCCs, and it signifies to law enforcement that they are law-abiding. These clubs generally have the same rank outside of prospects as the three-piece wearers. However, they're more motorcycle enthusiasts, less than the 1% outlaws that everybody claims to love. Lastly, you got the three-piece. The three-piece can be worn by some MCCs or by MCs. Now, in most cases, MCCs, they wear three-piece, they got to get sanctioned first. And, they got to at least prove that they're worthy to wear it. A three-piece is rarely worn by newer MCs that haven't been sanctioned for the back patch. Those who wear the three-piece, those are motorcycle clubs that have tremendous amounts of influence, respect. These clubs are usually dominant clubs, or they're very, very powerful and very influential, but they usually aren't quite dominant clubs, but they may have desires to do so. So now that we covered colors, what happens when you're riding with an MC or you're trying to pass an MC when out and about? Pretty early into our interview with these clubs, we mentioned what happens when people drive up or they try to drive past. We've seen large group of them riding before, and it looks really good. We're looking at them wondering what most people must do to try to pass them, or what happens if they cause offense to these biker organizations. In the current state of Grand Theft Auto, grief is very common, and looking at a group of bikers that look like prime targets. So we asked them. We see them riding together, and we couldn't help but notice that a griefer on an oppressor could easily blow them up. And we were shocked it turns out that the story was very different. With the clubs that we asked, it's very rarely that these organizations were attacked, especially when multiple of them rode together. And so we was a little bit curious of how is this so, because the majority of us we get our asses kicked or griefed all the time just because. And yet here we have this biker club that's far more vulnerable. I mean, they're on motorcycles, whereas some people may have cars and they're exposed. These motorcycle clubs didn't have a specific answer for this, but judging by the fact that they ride together, and some of these clubs may have up to hundreds of members, it's kind of easy to understand that targeting a motorcycle club wouldn't be a good idea. So when you're out and about and you see these bikers on the road, what do? So we did happen to mention that there's a proper way to pass by motorcycle clubs. Now these protocols don't apply to solo riders or lone wolves or people in cars, but rather when you see large groups of bikers. When you're approaching the MC, the person leading the ride is normally the road captain. You should level up with this person at the back of the MC. You should level up with the person at the back of the MC. And if you want to ride, then you should beep your horn once. If the person in the back beeps their horn, or this person is known as the tail gunner, if they beep back, then you should speed up to the road captain and ride at the road captain's level. Now, this should be one person doing this. Your whole entire biker organization should not just ride with you. Try to communicate with this one person. Once you're up with the road captain, you want to beep your horn once. And what the road captain would do, if they give you permission to proceed, they will beep their horn once. If they beep their horn once, then what your road captain is going to do is your road captain is going to fall back with the rest of your group, and then once they do so, you guys will safely overtake the biker group. So your next question is pretty much an obvious one. What happens if you don't get the beep back, or what happens if you don't get permission to pass this other biker crew? Well, you don't want to just overtake them anyway. Simple as that. And again, don't take it offensive if they don't give you permission to pass for whatever reason. If you were to do so, then it's very possible that you may have caused a unnecessary agitation or unnecessary drama towards you and your organization for no reason.